start to get our hands involved in this breathing. So as you inhale, just raise your hands up, palms facing up. And as you exhale, rotate your palms facing down, back down your knees. Good. As you inhale, palms go up. As you exhale, palms go down. Good. Continue doing this. Keep your eyes closed, not worrying about anyone else's tempo or pace. You are matching your movement to your breathing. Just begin to notice the quality of your breath. Are they long? Are they short? Do they feel jagged or do they feel deep? The right answer is just observation. So just kind of notice how your breath is today. Continuing to keep your eyes closed, noticing there are sounds going on around you. Things are moving, even though your eyes are closed, and you can just allow them to happen. Continue to let them happen and continue. Keep your eyes closed. Good. Let's take one more inhale. Exhale, hands back down. Good. Today we are going to talk a lot about the hip flexors. So last week we talked about the hips. So that's a lot of like cross-legged movement. Anytime you're crossing your legs over, that's your whole hip. But we're talking more specifically about the hip flexor. So if you just extend your legs out long on your mat, you can probably start to feel your hip flexor. We're going to find a tall spine, rock back and forth on your sit bones, grow your spine up, and you might already feel them. I know I can feel mine. So your hip flexors, if you put your fingers in that crease at the top of your leg and the bottom of your pelvis, your hip flexor is a tiny muscle that allows your leg to come forward like this. And a lot of the time it's really tight. So if you just press your thumbs down into that crease, you can probably start to feel your hip flexor, and it's flexed forward. It's working right now, so it's going to be tight. Something that happens a lot when our hip flexors are tight is our low back does this thing where it pulls forward and we have this slouch in our back to try and lessen some of the tension in our body. So we're going to talk about that in their relationship. First, we're just going to scoot forward and lay down. So legs still extended long out in front of you. Notice how that changes how your hip flexors feel. So now they're extended out long, they're not contracted, they're not working. So just put your hands on your hips and kind of notice the difference in that muscle. No longer tight. Good, and then notice how it feels just to allow your low back to sink into the mat or the floor or the ground. Take a deep inhale here. Exhale, sigh it out your mouth. Good. Bring the soles of your feet to the mat or the floor, bending your knees. Ground in through your heels. Inhale, lift your hips up, coming into bridge. So just noticing how this feels. We're using our glutes here to hold us up. So squeezing through your glutes. Hip flexors extended out long. Exhale, one vertebrae at a time. Slowly lower your spine back down. And when your tailbone touches down on the mat or the floor, inhale, bring your hips right back up. Good. Flowing bridge. We're just going to move through this for a couple of rounds of breathing. Exhale, one vertebrae at a time, coming back down. Inhale, hips back up. Good. Exhale. Slowly lowering down. Inhale. Hips back up. Good. Exhale. Back down. And inhale. This time, stay up in that bridge. So we're rooting in through the heels of our feet. Glutes are active. So one thing that we learn here is when something's tight, there's almost always something on the opposite side that needs to be toned or strengthened. In this case, our glutes. So the more we work our glutes, the less tightness we'll experience through our hip flexors. So we're gonna do just that right here. So I'm gonna keep my palms facing down on the mat. Inhale, I'm just gonna lift my left foot up. Notice how that feels. Whew. Exhale, put it back down. Inhale, I'm gonna lift my opposite foot up. Exhale, put it back down. Good. Let's move through that 2 more times on each leg. Keeping your hips high, don't let them drop down. Use your glutes. Good. You don't have to extend your leg all the way up. Try and bring that foot off of the ground. Good. And slowly, 1 vertebrae at a time, lower down. Good. Inhale, bringing your knees into your shins. Hug, or bringing your hands around your shins. Hug your knees in. Rock back and forth on your spine and just notice how that feels. Giving yourself a little massage. Exhale, we are going to rock forward or come up, however you would like to do that, and we're going to flip around. So now we are on our hands and our knees. Knees stacked under hips, wrists stacked under shoulders. Spread your fingers far apart. Press the palms of your hands down into the floor. And then inhale, slowly start to raise your tailbone up. As you do that, your belly can start to drop low and allow your gaze to look up in the direction of the ceiling or sky. Exhale, reverse this by slowly tucking your tailbone under. Notice your back will start to arch. Then allow your chin to come closer to your chest. Good. Exhale. Let's move through these 2 postures, allowing your tailbone to initiate each movement. So tailbone up, belly dropped low, gaze is up, cow pose. Tailbone tucked under, back is arched, gaze is down, cat pose. Good. Let's move through this a couple more times. Inhaling as you look up. Exhaling as you look down. The word yoga literally translates to yoke, to connect 2 things, and that is movement and breath. Trying to match your movement and your breathing. When your gaze goes up, inhale. When your gaze goes down, exhale. Coming back to a neutral spine, we're going to take our knees a little bit further apart, big toes touching, scoop your hips back to your heels. Child's pose, you can walk your hands further in front of you. Forehead comes down to the mat. You can always stack your fists and rest your forehead on that if that seems a little bit more accessible. But wherever you are at, allow your body to relax down. Everything softens here. Deep inhale. Deep exhale. Good. Inhale. Slowly going to start coming forward. And once my shoulders are stacked over my wrists, I'm just going to slowly start to lower down onto my belly. And then I'm going to press up through the palms of my hands. I'm coming into cobra. Just my chest and my head is lifted off the mat. This feels okay. You can feel this extension. It doesn't feel too much. You can always extend through your elbows. You feel a pinch in your low back. Add some bend back into your elbows. Spinal extension, the opposite of what we've been doing all day. It feels so good. Exhale, you're going to push back to your knees. Come back to that child's pose. Hips to heels. Forehead rested on the mat. Inhale, move forward until shoulders are stacked over wrists and lower down by bending through your elbows. Inhale to come up into cobra, chest off the mat, or extend up into upward facing dog. being super mindful of that low back. If you can feel a pinching sensation, you can point to. That's an indication you need to bend your elbows just a little bit. Exhale back. Hips to heels, child's pose. Inhale forward, shoulders over wrist, lower down, cobra or up dog. Good, let's move one more time in each direction because it feels good. Hips to heels, child's pose. Inhale forward to cobra or dog. Good, one deep inhale here. Exhale, we're gonna stay on our belly. So just lower your chest down. You're going to place your hands palms facing up to your sides, and then allow your left cheek to rest down on the floor or the mat. Just breathe here. Kind of noticing the flow of energy through your low back and spine. Inhale, bend through your knees. And we're going to bring our left hand forward and place our fingertips towards the front of the mat. We're just getting one hand underneath us. And kind of prop yourself up on that elbow. So your elbow stacked under your shoulder. So it feels really stable and supported. And then from there, you're going to rotate your left fingers in. So they're touching your right forearm. So I just rotated my left hand. So now my left fingers are facing the right side of my mat. From here, I'm gonna think about reaching back with my right hand for my right foot. There's a lot going on in this. We got a quad stretch, a little bit into our hip flexor. You have to extend back, you have to extend through your shoulders. So if this feels too much, just release that bind. If you have a jacket you can wrap around your foot, you can do it that way. You can also drop your left foot down to the mat and just breathe here. Good. Again, we want sensation, not pain. So if you are feeling pain through your shoulder, your low back, or your thigh, come out of it just a little bit. Breathing here, deep inhale, directing your oxygen to the places you are feeling sensation. Exhale, fully release that bind, lengthen through your leg, bring both hands down to your sides, palms facing up, right cheek on the mat this time. Shaking out through your hips. Good, take a deep inhale. Exhale. Inhale, bringing both of your hands, so elbows stacked under shoulders. Both elbows stacked under your shoulders. And this time we're going to take our right fingertips and face them so they're touching your left forearm. So opposite side. Inhale, you're going to bend through your left knee. Just kind of notice how that feels. And maybe think about reaching back with that left hand for your left foot. Just kind of noticing where you can feel that first. Maybe through your quad, maybe back through your shoulder. This one you want to make sure that you're not bending through your low back here. You're really lifting your chest up and forward. Gaze is to the front. Breathing here. Good, inhale, slowly releasing that, coming back down. Again, both hands, palms facing up to your sides, back to the left cheek on the mat. Shaking out through your hips. Inhale, option to reach back for both feet at once. So inhale, we're just gonna lift our chin and our chest off of the mat. Kind of notice how that feels to hold your upper body up. You're gonna bend through both knees. Just notice how that feels. Maybe think about reaching back one hand at a time for your feet. If you're like, this is not happening, there's no way. Keeping your feet down and just lifting your chest is the same stretch through your upper body. So just kind of noticing where you are. Take a deep inhale here. If your hands are bound to your feet, kick your feet up to bring that bow up a little bit higher. 2 deep breaths right here, wherever you are at. Exhale, lower back down. Feet come down to the floor, hands come out to a T. Just stretching through your upper back, chin rested on your mat. Take a deep inhale here. Exhale, sigh it out. Good, let's bring our wrists underneath our shoulders, then push back into tabletop and move down through child's pose. So knees can come wide if that feels good. That actually normally feels better for the hip flexors. Big toes touching, sink your hips back to heels, and stretch your arms forward. Take 3 deep breaths right here. Inhale, just lifting your forehead maybe an inch from the ground, and then walking both hands to the left corner of your mat, and then setting your head back down. Stretching a little bit more to your right side body. Inhale, lifting your forehead up again, walk your hands back through center, and then slightly to the right, so close to that right corner of your mat, and lay your head back down, breathe in there. Inhale, lifting your head, coming back through center, and slowly coming back into tabletop, hands and knees down. Tuck your toes under, bring your hips up toward the direction of the sky or ceiling. Downward facing dog. Breathe here. Maybe pedal out through your feet. Noticing how your hamstrings and calves are doing today. Pressing down through the palms of my hands. My shoulder blades are really far apart here. Really strong upper back. Deep inhale. Deep exhale. Shake your head yes and no. Inhale, gaze goes in between your hands, and then just walk your feet forward one at a time. So you're in a forward fold. And I am bending my knees as deeply as I need to get all 10 fingertips down on the floor. And then I'm just letting my head hang heavy. Good, just noticing any tension in your shoulders. Let it fall out. Inhale, I'm gonna lengthen through my knees and bring my hands up to my shins. Try and make my back flat here. So I'm pressing my hands into my shins, lengthening out through my spine. Exhale, bend through your knees, all 10 fingertips back down on the mat. Let your head hang heavy. Bend to your knees even more, sending your hips a little bit further back, and then inhale, both hands up overhead, standing up, extended mountain. Palms together, and then palms through heart center. Let's move through the sequence a couple more times, warming up. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, bend through your knees, hinge through your hips, dive forward. Forward fold. Let your head hang heavy. Inhale, hands to shins. Lift. Good. Exhale. Bend your knees, plant your palms down, and then step back one foot at a time. Back in that downward facing dog, upside down V shape. Inhale, I'm going to shift my weight forward until my shoulders are stacked over my wrists. And then from knees or toes, you choose. Slowly lower down to your belly. Inhale, pressing up through your palms, coming into cobra or up dog, whatever feels better. From knees or toes, tuck your toes under or go to your knees, and then find down dog. Back to that upside down V shape. 3 deep breaths right here. Breathe, remembering it is always acceptable to drop down to your knees and take a child's pose whenever you need one. Listen to your body and then do the thing it's telling you to do. One more deep breath. Inhale, let's do that sequence one more time. Gaze goes up in between your hands and then walk your feet forward. All 10 fingertips down on the mat. Let your head hang heavy. Bend as much as you need through your knees. Inhale, hands to shins, lengthen through your knees, half lift. Exhale, fingertips back down to the mat. Deeper bend through your knees. Inhale, both hands up overhead. Extended mountain, hands to heart center. And then bring your hands down to your heart. Good. Inhale, both hands up overhead. Exhale, diving forward, slight bend through your knees, hinge through your hips, forward fold. Inhale, hands to shins, half lift. Exhale, bend your knees so you can get your entire palm down, both of them on the mat, and then step back. 1 foot at a time. Downward facing dog. Inhale, shift forward to high plank, knees or toes. Make sure your elbow creases are facing forward before you lower down. Inhale, untuck your toes, pressing up through your palms, cobra or up dog. And then exhale back from knees or toes, downward facing dog. 3 deep breaths here or in child's pose. Wherever you're at, try and get that heart rate to come back down. Focus in on deep inhales and deep exhales. Your next inhale, lift your right foot off of the ground behind you, just a couple inches, maybe rolling out through that ankle. Bend your right knee and then bring your right knee tight under your chest. And then move that foot straight on through in between your hands. So right foot in between the hands, and then I'm just gonna lower down on my left knee and come to a kneeling lunge. Just noticing how this feels, breathing here. If you need more padding under that back knee, you can always fold your mat, do a little bit more padding. This feels okay. We're gonna start to notice that hip flexor a little bit more, the left hip flexor. So I'm just gonna walk my hands forward, making sure my knee doesn't come over my toes. Then from there, I'm gonna start to scoot my left knee back. So I wanna make sure my right knee doesn't come over my right toes. Then I'm gonna scoot my left knee back. I'm high up on my fingertips. You might feel a good stretch in your left hip flexor. You might feel your right hip flexor tighten. So just kind of breathing into this. Notice where you feel this, if this feels good in your body. High up on your fingertips, you can also press your fists down into your mat or set your palms down. If you have blocks, this is a great place to use them. Exhale, I'm going to slowly start to walk my hands back and lengthen through my right knee. I'm going to pull up on my right toes. We just went from a hip flexor stretch to a hamstring stretch. I'm not really concerned about how far back I'm getting my hip to my heel. I actually want a lot of space there. I'm more focused on pulling my right toes back. Lengthen through that hamstring. Breathing here. Exhale, let's walk our hands forward, set that right foot back down. Start to lengthen through that left hip flexor again. really tall spine here. Again, when we're lengthening or talking about the hips, we have a tendency to curl our low back. We really want a tall spine here. Exhale, walk your fingers back, pull up on your right toes, going into that hamstring, that right hamstring. Breathing here. If you can feel that sensation or that tightness, inhale and imagine that entire inhale is being directed to that muscle. Exhale one more time, walk your fingers forward, plant your right foot down, lengthen through your left hip flexor. Good, exhale, slowly coming back to center. You might need to scoot your back knee in a little bit more. You're gonna inhale and come up here. You might wanna heel toe your right foot out so you have a wider base, so you feel stable enough to kneel. Inhale, both hands up overhead. Exhale, we're gonna bend through our elbows and peel our chest open here. Gaze goes up to the ceiling or the sky. Inhale, arms back up. Exhale, bend through the elbows. Good, inhale. Option here to tuck your left toes under, come off that left knee. Coming to a high lunge. Exhale, when you bend through your elbows, bend a little bit more through that front knee. Making sure you can still see your right toes underneath your right knee. If you can't, scoot that foot forward more. Inhale, lengthening up through your arms, even lengthen up through that front leg. Exhale, bend through your knee, bend through your elbows. Good, high lunge. Inhale, one more time, up. Woo. Exhale, coming back down. Good. Keep your legs right where they're at. So we're in a high lunge. Inhale, hands up overhead. I'm gonna grab hold of my left wrist and pull it to the right. Option to do this off of your back knee, or you can bring it back down. Good, breathing here. Notice where your heart rate is at. Is it higher than it was a couple minutes ago? Exhale back to center. Bring both hands down to the mat. Inhale, right foot back to meet your left. Back in downward facing dog. Option to stay here or bring your knees down to the earth and find child's pose. Your choice. 3 deep breaths. What do you want to do with them? Try and bring that heart rate back down. Inhale, slowly making your way back into downward facing dog, that upside down V shape. Inhale, bring your left foot just a couple inches off the floor. Bend your left knee, bring your left foot in between your hands, and if you need to physically move your foot and scoot it forward, you can. Bring your right knee down to the mat. Then I'm just going to scoot my left foot just a little bit more forward. And I want to make sure my knee is stacked over my ankle. My knee's not coming forward over my toes. It is parallel to the floor. Nope, perpendicular to the floor. Then from here, I'm going to scoot my right knee back just slightly. So we're getting that hip flexor stretch on the opposite side. And breathe here. Notice how this feels. Again, you can come high up on your fingertips. You can stack your fists. If you have a water bottle, a block, a box, anything, you can rest your hands on that, come a little bit higher up. Breathe here. Notice how this feels in that right hip flexor. Exhale. Slowly start to walk your hands back as you lengthen through your left knee. Start to pull up on your left toes until that left hamstring's talking to you. Again, high up on your fingertips. You can even bring one hand up to your shin to get a little bit higher up. Want to try and keep that spine as straight as you can. So we're not curling through it, but we're trying to find some length here. Good, exhale. We're gonna make this a flow. So again, find your breath here. Start to walk your hands forward, lengthen through that right hip flexor. And as you exhale, walk your hands back, bring your left toes up, find that left hamstring. Good. As you inhale, coming forward. As you exhale, walking back. One more time in each direction. Good. Exhale, slowly coming back to center. Maybe scooting your right knee in a little bit and then heel toeing your left foot out just so you have more stable base to come up. Find a tall spine. Inhale from here, bring both hands up overhead. Exhale, bend through your elbows, tilt your chest forward, gaze goes up towards the ceiling. Kind of notice how that feels through your spine. Inhale, both hands up. Exhale, bend through your elbows. Option to stay right here on that back knee. You want to tuck your back toes under. Bring your back knee off of the mat. Come into a high lunge. Inhale, lengthen through that front knee. Lengthen through your arms. And as you exhale, bend through your elbows, bend through the front knee. Again, we still want to be able to see those front toes. Match your movement with your breath. So as you inhale, come up. Lengthen through elbows and knee. As you exhale, bend through that front knee, bend through your elbows. Good. 2 more times, building some fire. One more time, and then inhale, coming up. Exhale, bend through your knee. Grab hold of your right wrist and pull it to the left. And we can do this stretch, our back knee on the mat or off the mat. You choose. Wherever you're at, whew, deep breath. Exhale, slowly coming back to center, both hands down. The opposite side of that foot, and then step back. Left foot meets the right. Back in downward facing dog. From here, you choose. You want to stay in down dog or bring your knees down to the mat. Sink your hips back to your heels. Wherever you are at, try and bring your heart rate back down. Deep breath. If you're in downward facing dog, try and press your chest closer to your thighs without moving your hands or your feet. So using those back muscles. Good. One more breath. Exhale, slowly making your way back into downward facing dog. Inhale, bring your right foot up to the sky. Maybe a little bit higher this time. See how high you can get that leg. Rolling out through your ankle. Maybe bending your right knee and then straightening it. Bend your right knee, bring it tight under your chest, and then stop when your shoulders are stacked over your wrists, and pause. Building some heat here. Hug your belly button in. Take a deep breath. Good. Exhale, move your right foot straight on through. This time we're going to circle our left foot all the way down to the mat behind us. We're going to inhale, bring our hands up overhead. Good. Warrior one. So again, if you look down at that right knee, you should still be able to see your toes. If you can't see your toes, scoot your front foot forward a little bit. So my right knee is bent. My left leg is lengthened out long, and my entire left foot is down on the mat behind me. Option to keep your arms up overhead, or you can bring your hands to heart center and rest them here. Good, noticing that length through that left hip flexor as that right hip flexor is working. Good, one more deep breath. Exhale, I'm gonna bring my right hand in front of me, left hand behind me. Heel toe my left foot out so it's further behind me. Bend a little bit more through my right knee. Find warrior two. Gaze is fixed over that right middle knuckle. Breathe here. The deeper you bend through that front knee, more fire you're gonna build, more you're gonna shake. So play to your edge. If you're like, I don't really wanna build fire and sweat, that is absolutely fine. Come out of it just a little bit. Your yoga practice. Inhale, we're gonna rotate that right palm up towards the ceiling and then bring those fingertips up. My left hand's gonna rest on my left leg, where I can bend it and place it in my low back. Reverse warrior. So I'm lengthening all the way from my right hip bone up that arm. Imagine someone's coming and pulling your right arm further behind you, really stretching. Good. Deep inhale. Exhale. Bend a little bit more through that right knee. Bring your right elbow to your right knee. Then bring your left arm up overhead. Side angle pose. I'm really pressing my right elbow into my right leg. Feeling the strength of my shoulders. A deep inhale. Exhale, bring both hands down to the mat, but on the inside of the right foot. Then you're gonna walk your hands to the long edge of your mat. Heel toe your feet, so you're now facing the long edge of your mat. Big toes angled to the corners of your mat. Gonna inhale here, come up on my fingertips, flat back, and then I'm gonna exhale, start to bring my forehead closer down to my mat. Maybe rest my hands down. Maybe I can get my forearms all the way down to the mat. My knees are pretty straight here, but if they feel unstable or don't feel good, you can have a micro bend, slight bend to them. So get the same stretch. Wherever you're at, breathe. Let your head hang heavy. Allow all the tension through your shoulders to fall out the top of your head. Inhale, slowly lengthening through your elbows, coming high up on your fingertips again. Half lift. And then exhale, I'm going to start to walk both of my hands toward my left foot. So now the back of the mat becomes the front of the mat. Now I'm in a low lunge over my left foot. I'm just going to step back with my left foot. And now I'm in a downward facing dog. So you get to choose 3 deep breaths. Do you want to spend them here, or do you want to spend them in child's pose? Wherever you're at, make sure you're noticing your breath. Inhale, bring your left foot up to the ceiling. Maybe bend through your left knee, pull out through your left ankle. Good. Left knee bent, bring your left knee tight under your chest, and then when your shoulders are stacked over your wrist, pop. Pressing the ground away from you, belly button pulled in and up, till that fire build. And then when you are done feeling the fire build, exhale, bring the left foot in between the hands. Rotating the right foot all the way down at the mat behind you at an angle. And then inhale, both hands up overhead. Warrior one on the opposite side. Good. So again, take a look at that left knee. Should still be able to see your toes. If you can't, scoot that foot forward. And then my right foot is all the way down on the mat behind me, and my right leg is straight. Big exhale, bring your left hand in front of you, right hand behind you. Warrior two, maybe heel toe that back leg out a little bit more. And breathe here. Again, hands out to the sides or hands to heart center is always an option. You choose. Deep inhale, deep exhale. I want to make sure my front knee is over my toes so it's not falling in or out. Front palm rotates up and then fingers come up. Right hand comes down to the back leg. Good. Reverse warrior. Imagine I am walking around to each and every one of you and pulling your left hand up just a little bit more. Exhale, bend through that left knee, left elbow to left knee. Right hand comes up overhead. Side angle pose. Strong back here, pressing your elbow into your knee, not collapsing down into it. Imagining your fingertips are being pulled just a little bit closer to the ceiling. Strong body, so good. Exhale, slowly rotating the right hand down to the mat. Left hand comes down, both on the inside of that left foot. And then again, coming back to the front of the mat, the same way we came over. Coming to a wide straddle. So heel toe your feet out to get a wider stance if that feels good. Big toes facing the corners of the mat. Then we're gonna inhale, bring our hands up to our hips. Then as we inhale, we're gonna come all the way up. So again, just double check, make sure your big toes are facing the corners and they're not straight on. Got a little bit of rotation in your feet. Inhale, both hands up overhead. Exhale, you're gonna bend through your elbows and bring your elbows close to your ribs. Good. Inhale, back up. Exhale, elbows to wrists. Option to bring your legs into this. So inhale, back up. Exhale, when you bend through your elbows, bend through your knees too. Oh, that's my favorite pose, goddess pose. Breathe here. That burning sensation in your quads means strength is coming. Inhale, expand up through your arms, through your knees. Exhale, back down. Good, let's start a flow. Inhale, as you inhale, extend up. As you exhale, go back down into that goddess pose. Inhale, arms up, knees lengthened. Exhale, back down and pause. Good. Down in this squat. Notice what your core is doing. Hugging your belly button in and up. Notice what your hip flexors are doing. Probably yelling at you. Staying in a couple more breaths. Breathe. Inhale, lengthen up. Beautiful. Exhale, hinge through your hips. Come into a wide straddle. Bring the crown of your head closer to the ground. Just breathe. Noticing where your heart rate is at. Inhale, coming high up on your fingertips, half lift. Exhale, walking both of your hands toward your right foot. Good, and then stepping that leg back, coming into a downward facing dog. Right here, bring your knees down to the earth. Knees wide, big toes touching. Sink your hips back to your heels. Take a child's pose. 5 deep breaths. noticing where your heart rate is at, and if you breathe a little bit deeper, can you get it to slow down just a little bit more? Exhale, slowly coming into tabletop. And then we're just going to lower down onto our bellies again. Just lowering down, both hands to your sides, palms facing up. Allow your chin to rest on the mat. And breathe here. So we talked about a little bit about lengthening through your hip flexors. When our hip flexors are tight, we lengthen. You know how to do the runner stretch and how to make them feel better. But we forget to strengthen. So on the opposite side, we have these glutes, and the stronger your glutes are, the less tight your hip flexors will be. So we're gonna work them just a little bit. We're gonna inhale and bring our palms up off of the mat, shoulders up off the mat. And I'm gonna inhale and bring my chest off of the mat. Good. Just gonna notice how that feels. Your low back is holding your arms and your head and your chest off of the mat. We're gonna inhale and bring our toes off the mat, get our glutes involved. Big toes touching. Breathe here. Locust pose. Inhale, maybe rise up just a little bit more. Whew. Good, exhale. Come all the way back down. Good, chin resting on the mat. Just shake out through your hips. And I'm gonna inhale and bring both of my hands up overhead in front of me. Good, so from here, we're gonna do some Superman. So inhale, I'm gonna lift my left arm off of the mat. And when I do that, I'm gonna lift my right leg off the mat. Notice how that feels. Exhale, set them back down. Inhale, right hand, left leg. Yes, glutes. Exhale, back down. Inhale, opposite side. Good. Switching. As you exhale, lower down. As you inhale, switch sides. Heart rate starting to increase. Means something's getting stronger. Go one more time in each direction. Good. Exhale, lay everything back down, and then allow your left cheek to rest on the floor of the mat. Just breathing here. Bring your left hand underneath your left shoulder, and then bring your right hand out to the side. I did that opposite. So from here, we're gonna roll onto our right shoulder and stretch through our shoulder. So be super careful with this. If you find this is too intense for your shoulder, bring your right hand closer to your right hip. But you're gonna press off with your left hand, start to roll onto your right shoulder, bend your left knee, and place it behind you. Good, shoulder stretch. And then rest your head on something. So I extended my right arm out to a T, and then I rolled onto that shoulder. Just breathing here. Again, if it's too intense, come back to your belly. Bring your right hand closer down to your right hip and try it again. We want sensation, not pain. Two more deep breaths here. Good, exhale, slowly rolling back onto your belly and switching sides. So right hand comes under right shoulder, left arm extends out to a T, and then I'm going to press off with my right hand, start rolling my weight onto my left shoulder, bend my right knee, bring it behind me, And breathe there. Again, once you find a shoulder stretch that's not too intense, try and rest your head down on the floor. If you have a block, it's a great place to use it. Two more deep breaths. Exhale, slowly coming back to your belly. Slowly rolling off that shoulder. Then bringing both hands underneath your shoulder, pressing up into tabletop. Then we are just going to lean our way off to one hip. Come to seated. Swing our legs in front of us. Back to where we started. So we talked about at the beginning that when our hip flexors are really tight, like they still might be right now, our low back starts to stretch out to try and make some space for them, to allow them to do what they're doing. We learned that working our glutes and stretching out for our hip flexors can help. Then we got that low back that's kind of achy. And if your low back is achy, it means your core needs to be strengthened. So bring your feet down to the mat. Knees bent. Rock back and forth until you can find your sit bones, and then grow your spine really tall. So from right here, if you can feel your core engaged, this is right where you stay. Bring your hands to your hamstrings, right behind your knees, and then walk your heels up so just your toes are on the mat. Good. You can pull your hamstrings in a little bit closer, kind of lean back into that. Inhale, maybe lift one leg, and then the other. Maybe think about lifting both legs, coming into boat pose. Good, tall spine. If you are slouching through your spine here, core is not working and low back is getting hurt. So really tall spine. This feels okay. Maybe hands out, palms facing up. Woo! And breathe. 3 more deep breaths wherever you're at. If you came out of it, that's okay. Come right back into it. 1 more breath. Exhale. Good. Legs out long in front of you. Extending and flexing up through your feet. Again, find those sit bones and then grow your spine tall. This time bring your hands palms facing down so they're in line with your hips. And then roll your shoulders back and down. Most imagining is if you could press your hands into the mat and lift your hips up. From here, inhale, gaze looks up towards the ceiling or the sky. Then see if you can engage through your quads. Maybe bring the heels of your feet off of the ground. Fast pose, deep breaths here. Good. Exhale and release. Shaking out through your legs. Good. And slowly coming to your back. Bending to your knees. And then allowing your low back to be supported by the mat or the earth. Just allowing it to relax into something. Hugging your knees into your chest. Wrap your hands around your shins. Rocking back and forth. Just noticing how that feels on your spine. Inhale, arms come out to a T, and then just allow both of your knees to fall to the left. Taking a spinal twist. Gaze might go over your right shoulder. Trying to keep both of your shoulder blades down on the mat. Two deep breaths right here. Inhale, slowly moving your gaze upward and then bringing your knees into your chest. Exhale and let them fall to the right side. Again, both shoulder blades ground into the mat, and then gaze might go over your left shoulder. 2 deep breaths right here. On each exhale, just allowing your body to soften in 2 different directions. Inhale, knees back to center. Hugging your knees into your chest one more time. Rocking back and forth on your spine. Option 2, take happy baby. So flex your feet up to the sky. Grab hold of your feet, your shins, your thighs, whatever you can grab onto, and pull them closer to you. Bending through the knees, wide knees. Happy baby rock back and forth. Really flattening your spine down on the mat. And when you are ready, we are to my favorite part of class, dead man pose. So extend your legs out long in front of you. Allowing your feet to roll out to the sides, allowing your hips to relax, low back to relax, core relax, shoulders allow them to settle into the mat, and then hands out to the sides, palms facing up. Good, breathe here. Close your eyes. Start to notice your breathing again. That deep inhale and that deep exhale. Start to become curious about the inhale and the exhale. Where it starts, where it ends, what happens in the middle, and where it starts again. Can you feel the beginning of your inhale? Can you feel the ending of your inhale? Where does that happen? Where do you feel that? Can you feel the beginning of your exhale? Can you feel the ending of your exhale? What would happen if the world just continued turning, but all you focused on was your inhale and exhale? The goal of yoga. The yoga pose is not the goal. Becoming flexible is not the goal. Standing on your hands is not the goal. The goal is to create space where you were once stuck. To unveil the layers you've built up in your body and around your heart. To appreciate your body and become aware of the mind and the noise it creates. The goal of yoga is to make peace with who you are. Slowly starting to wiggle your fingers and toes. Taking some deeper inhales and exhales. Maybe bringing both hands overhead, taking a full body stretch. When you are ready, coming either to your left or your right hip into a fetal position. One arm can rest underneath your head as a pillow. Slowly opening your eyes and coming back to your Tuesday. When you are ready, coming up into a seated position. Legs crossed or legs long out in front of you. Option to bring your hands to heart center as a form of gratitude. At the end of most yoga classes, you hear someone say the word namaste, and in Sanskrit, this translates to the divine light that's in me, deeply honors, sees, and respects that same light that is in you. So thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.